Hello, welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. Today we're here to talk about the Robert De Niro movie, The War with Grandpa. It also stars Rob Riggle and Uma Thurman. So, Robert De Niro stars as a man who worked most of his life. His wife passed away and he's still living by himself, and he's a very ornery person. He's not good with technology and things like that. And after a couple of incidents, his daughter asks him to live with her family. The daughter is played by Uma Thurman. Now, Uma Thurman and Rob Riggle are married. They have a kid, and they're gonna give Robert De Niro the kid's room so he couldn't sleep upstairs, because it wouldn't be good for Robert De Niro to sleep in the attic because it's dark and stairs are bad for old people. So the kid's about to go into 6th grade also, so he's dealing with some changes. Like, he was the oldest in his school, now he's going to be the youngest grade again. So he's going through a lot, but his reactions to someone taking his room aren't really justified, I feel. So let's get more into that, shall we? In an early scene where we see Robert De Niro still living on his own and doing things, he goes to a grocery store, he tries to self-checkout, it doesn't work for him, he's having issues, so he just kind of leaves with the groceries without paying, not because he was trying to steal it, because he got fed up with the technology. Now as he's walking out, a detector goes off in a grocery store. Now, even though, I work in a grocery store personally, but groceries at a food store don't have detectors on them or anything like that to set off an alarm, so that's kind of unrealistic there. I mean, I'm nitpicking something like this early, and yes, kids' movies kind of do things that are beyond the realm of belief in certain ways, or they don't try as hard to be, realistic in certain ways, but at least, I don't know, that kind of struck me as just noticeable. Because I watched this with my dad, and even he was like, yeah, they don't have metal detectors. And there's a lot more instances like this that kind of stick out in my mind, and we'll get more into them as we go along here. So the grandson declares war on the grandfather, Robert De Niro, and they play a series of pranks throughout the movie, and that's what a majority of the movie is. Now, a couple of pranks involve Robert De Niro falling on marbles, like in Home Alone. Now, he's supposed to be in his late 70s, early 80s. He falls on his back from marbles, and he's not in the hospital immediately after. I know it's a kid's movie, but, come on. There's also something where he has to go check something on the roof, or he falls from the roof and he's, hanging from, the gutter, and I'm like, you're a 78-year-old man, you're not gonna have the upper arm strength to hang from the roof. At least make it believable. Come on. There's other times he falls down and things like that, and he's not in the hospital, he's just he's fine. It's a little frustrating because the movie doesn't treat the audience with oh, come on, they can believe more than what you're showing them. Now, there's another weird instance where the grandfather writes a new book report for the grandson. He writes stupid things oh, during my summer vacation I didn't shower for a month. Now, the writers, I don't think, have the basic grasp of how reading works, because when you're looking at a piece of paper and you're reading it out loud, you're kind of in your head looking at the next line or two, and you would see that the words weren't what you wrote. And instead of having to say everything because the teacher makes them keep reading, why wouldn't you just say something different? You knew what you did over the summer or something, plus just, oh, I hung out in the woods, I went hiking. Just say something different. That's how your brain works. That instance was the worst part of yeah, I know they're trying to get pranks, but it's a 12-year-old or 11-year-old kid would like, I think would know something is up, or hey, these aren't my words, let me not say these words. Like overall, throughout the movie, the grandpa does try to like make peace with the grandson. Like they try to go fishing. Yeah, it's like the kid. There is something up with him, I think. Now there's a little sister too, and she's for some reason obsessed with Christmas. It really doesn't add or take away from the movie. But also, the parents keep getting the pranks put on them by accident, like, because either the grandpa or the grandson, like, avoids them, and they end up being sprung on the parents, which is pretty funny, honestly. There's a lot of scene involving people seeing Robert De Niro's, like, dick. Like, he ends up being pantsless a lot, and the husband ends up seeing it a lot, played by Rob Riggle. Now, there's scenes where, like, they let a mouse in the house, and it bites through electrical wire, and it doesn't get electrocuted. But interesting enough, anytime there is an animal in this movie, it's a real animal. It's not CG. Because I've noticed a lot of movies, when they have animals involved, it's a CG animal, I guess, to... Maybe it's cheaper. I feel like it's not, though, because they're using a computer effect. Or they don't have to deal with animal wranglers, but, like, they let a snake out at one point, and it's a real snake. And I was actually impressed that they were using real animals. Like, none of them got hurt or anything. But a lot of times lately they don't use real animals in movies. Oh, there's an older sibling as well, and she's like dating or whatever, and throughout the movie the mom doesn't want the kid dating. And there is a moral about it, but at one point at the end of the movie, the mom literally goes after the boyfriend and almost like assaults him, so the mom should be arrested for that, but it's a kids movie, so nothing consequential happens to anybody. And I don't know why Uma Thurman did this movie. She's maybe, I mean, I don't know why Robert De Niro did this movie either, but I guess they just wanted a paycheck. Overall, this, like, it's a kids movie, so it's supposed to be made for adults and children, I guess, so the parents have something to watch too. But like the things for the parents, like it's those things like the grandfather constantly falling and not getting hurt or going to the hospital, or like hanging from a roof. Like, you can do better. And the whole thing about the kid reading and like not realizing it's not his own words and keeps reading it, like that really just bothered me a lot. Overall, I would maybe give War with Grandpa, I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5 burgers, because there are some genuine moments of the Robert De Niro trying to bond with the grandson and things like that. And if you just suspend the disbelief, there are some funny pranks, but if it's on a streaming service for free, watch it. If you have to pay for it, don't. Like, I rented it, but it wasn't that expensive. But at the end of the movie, like, they resolve everything, and someone else might take the kid's room, and he starts thinking, like, it's my room again, so the kid has some, like, attachment issues, definitely, that need to be addressed. But I doubt they'll make a sequel to this. But if they did, I guess that would be addressed. Alright, so I'm Scott Berger, and I'll see you next time.